Hi, welcome to the Shortcuts Reception Procedures training session. My name's Kelly and I'll be guiding you through exactly how we suggest that you use your shortcut system to follow some daily procedures to help your business run smoother. So let's get started. So the learning outcomes of today's session is we want you to be able to understand how to start and end your day. We would also like you to understand how to print your CPCs and appointment book page, and for those of you who don't know what a CPC is, we'll be going through that in a moment. We're also going to go through how to leave a message for other staff members and also understand how to clock on and clock off if this is what your business chooses to do. And lastly, we'll also be going through how to check out professional stock as well. So let's get started. Most of this session will be live in Shortcuts, so just give me a moment and I'll flick over to Shortcuts. Okay, so what you're looking at here is Shortcuts White. So for those of you who didn't know, Shortcuts has recently had a bit of a revamp. So there's a Shortcuts White and a Shortcuts Black colour theme. So I'll be conducting this session in Shortcuts White. And if you haven't seen these as yet, hit your reception desk, then you can give us a call and we can make sure we send a CD out to you. We are sending them out, but just give us a call if you haven't received yours yet. Okay, so we're going to start today with your start of day. So I'll pretty much go through the procedures in the way that we would suggest that you would do them throughout the day. So obviously the first thing we would do is start our day. So to start your day, you need to make sure that this option is ticked. So I'll show you if we're going to setup and configuration. There's actually an icon here called Use Start of Day, and I've got this ticked. So if you do want to do that, make sure it is ticked. The reason we suggest that doing Start of Day is a good idea is that if someone does cash up in the evening and then you have someone different come starting your day and opening up the business in the morning, then you want to make sure that this cash is double checked. The person working, on the following day, they want to make sure that whoever's left the till with that amount of money has actually counted it correctly, and then they are not responsible for anything that has perhaps gone wrong overnight. So it's kind of like a double check to make sure you're keeping everything honest, basically. So we'll start off, and I'll show you what would happen if you didn't do your start of day. So say we're in the point of sale and we click to do a transaction, you'll get this error here saying start of day must be performed before transactions can be entered. So if you do have start of day ticked, you will not be able to do a transaction before you complete start of day. Start of day only takes a minute, so it's not a big process, but just be aware that if you do choose to do it, you have to do it every morning. Okay, so if I click up here on transactions, down the bottom you'll see there's a new button down here called Start Day. So if I select that, if you have never ever balanced your till ever before, so this is your very first time using Shortcuts, it will ask you for a previous float. So I'll put that in. And when you're doing start of day, all you really need to do, if you're doing it every day constantly, you won't get that first screen that we just saw. You'll just get this screen, and it'll basically say, what is your new float? Okay, so the float that was recorded the evening before was 200, and you may count it and find there's 205 cents. So you need to put that in here to make sure that whoever balances at the end of today comes up with the correct figure. So we have to be spot on with that. So if it is 205 cents, we'll have to put that in. Otherwise, you'll be 5 cents out tonight. So whoever's counted the evening before, maybe they missed that. Okay, so all you do is put that amount in, count what you've got in the till, put the amount in and hit done. Okay, and you put a reason for the float adjustment. So the reason it went up, maybe miscount. Okay, so you can just pop that in as a reason. If it's the same, it won't ask you to put any reason in. It'll just allow you to hit done, and that will be it. Okay, so then you can go ahead and, put in a transaction as you normally would. Okay, so I'm just going to put in a transaction here. And see, it just lets you do that, not a problem. I can just pay with cash and hit end sale. Okay, so the reason I just put that sale in is because I want to do an end of day with you later on, so I want to have something in the till to show you. Okay, so that's how you do your start of day, and as I said, I would really recommend doing this to make sure all of the procedures are kept really honest within the business, and especially if you've got different people cashing up the night before and then someone else cashing up the next day, it keeps everything really clean for you. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is how to print a CPC. Now, CPCs, we recommend you print them the night before or even in the morning. So the reason that we say this is because if you print them out the night before and something does go wrong overnight, something happens with your computer or, you know, God forbid it's stolen or anything like that, then basically what you can do is have all these sheets of paper with everyone's client profile and their services that they're having for the day and all their history and everything printed, and you can run your day very smoothly and consult with your clients very professionally, even though something, may not be right with your computer. So if you do it the night before, then it's a lot safer for you. If you forget, then you can do it in the morning. Again, that's not a problem. It just means the day runs smoother if you can walk in and those folders are prepared with all the CPCs. So the way that we recommend that you do it is have a little individual folder for each employee, print out the CPCs the evening before, put each of the CPCs into a client clipboard or folder for each staff member. So if I've got 5 clients that I'm seeing today, I'll have 5 sheets of paper on my clipboard ready to consult with my clients. So the way that you do this, there's actually a number of ways. I'll show you what most people have seen and know how to do is if you right-click on an appointment and hit CPC, that way you can actually print one out. So if I go CPC and I can hit yes, and that will print that out for you individually. Okay, now if I want to actually print out the whole lot for the day, now obviously normally your appointment book will look like something like this or a lot fuller. So it would be a long process if you want to print one by one. So we've created a button to make it a lot easier. If we go into clients, there is a CPC button here. Now if I press CPC, it'll ask me, do I want to print CPC for walk-in? And it does that because see here on the left-hand side, I've got walk-in selected. So what you have to make sure that you do is you have to hit delete. And what that will do, it'll take you up to business. And that's what you need to have selected. And you need to hit CPC. And then it gives you this menu option. So if you're doing it the evening before, you would select this one here that says all next trading days clients. And that will give you a CPC for each client that you can then pop into the clipboards. So just one button rather than having to do them individually. If you forget to do that and want to do it in the morning, you just hit all today's clients. Okay, so they're the two that we recommend that you use, all today's clients or all of next trading days clients. Okay, and that will print out the CPCs for you. Now I've got an example of what a CPC looks like here. So it comes up as this little A5 sheet, so you just need to make sure you put A5 paper in your printer. If you want to do it on A4, you can do that too, but a lot of people like saving the paper and having a smaller clipboard, so this keeps it a little neater for you. Now, I'll go from top to bottom. So basically the CPC will tell you the client's name, so this is Martina. Okay, and then basically the next thing under here is today's clients, so today's appointments with our client's name. So I've got this client saying John James for a tint and then a cut. Okay, then I've got previous appointments and then previous visit notes as well. Okay, so the previous visit notes will tell me any colour history that someone else has written and previous products that they've purchased also. Now, we need to rebook as well. So in here, this is where when I'm doing the appointment, I can write on that and say I want to rebook that client. And then any current visit notes I can write on that as well. Now you'll see some other little comments around the place, and what that basically is before each session we actually recommend that before you see a client you make some notes on their card with suggestions of what you're going to talk to them about. So here we're going to suggest they have a treatment and maybe an eyebrow wax. And we can also recommend that they take a treatment because they've been using this shampoo and conditioner, but we'll recommend the complementing treatment for them to take home as well, or perhaps see if they're due for some more shampoo and conditioner. Okay, so when you're using this, I would, really use all the bits of information possible. Check the address, check the phone number is correct with the client, etc. So using this, we tell you to assist your staff as well in reading their CPCs to start with, just to get them used to it. And once they get used to it, then they can pretty much do that on their own in the morning before they start with their clients. So this is what a CPC looks like. And you can always recycle them if you want to cross off the information that you've already used. So once you finish with Martina's card for the day, you can cross that, put a cross through it, and then feed it through the other way around in the printer and use the back the next day to save on paper as well. Okay, so that's our CPCs. So I will hop back to shortcuts. So, and as I said before, to actually print the CPCs, we just hit this big CPC button under clients, and that is the best way to do it. Now, if people come in throughout the day, so they might walk in the morning and just you might have an appointment free, you can actually just then right-click on the appointment and print a single CPC and add it to someone's clipboard. Okay, so that's your CPCs. The other thing that we recommend that you print is the appointment book as well. So to print the appointment book, what you need to do is double-click on someone's head. So if I do a single click, it just gives me a summary of that particular employee. But if I double-click, I get this menu and I can print the day's appointment page, and that's what we recommend, that very first one, and you pop that up in the back room. Again, it's a bit of a security blanket for you, I think, because what you actually have then is, if something does go wrong, you have that appointment book page printed, and we do recommend that you do that the night before also. So if you can add that to your procedures and pop that out the back, that'll help you a lot if something does go wrong. It also takes away a bit of congestion from the front desk, because I'm not sure if you have this issue, but a lot of the feedback I get is that people are always looking at the computer at the front desk to see what they've got on next. If you've got that area free to just use for checking things out at point of sale and consulting with your clients, the other staff members can then look out the back to see what they've got going on for the rest of the day. There are other options here too, so printing appointment page and employee schedules. That actually gives a single column page to each of your staff members as well, so they can have an overview of what they're doing for the day, so you can add that to their clipboards. Or you can print just an individual schedule as well. So they're the three main ones that we suggest that you print. Okay, so that's printing your appointment book page, and again, we definitely recommend you do that of an evening. Now, the other thing that you can do, if you right-click on one of the appointment columns, so say Mary, for example, I can leave a message for Mary. So I can type in "your mum rang," or whatever the message may be. Okay, and that will actually pop a little message icon up in the corner of her where her head sits there. Now, if you have your appointment book screen looking a bit bigger, like on half day, that icon will also obviously be a lot bigger. So it just depends on how you have your appointment book page set up. So I had it on all day, so it's quite a small icon, or you could have it larger by selecting menu and changing it to, say, 3/4 day, for example. Okay, so we recommend that you do this, again, to keep procedures a lot neater in the business and not have bits of paper flying around or even forgetting to pass messages on. The other thing with these messages, they are only applicable to the day that you put them on. So if Mary's not working today and you're leaving a message for her, make sure you put it on the day that she's actually working. So if she's working, on a Friday only or whatever it may be, then make sure the message is put on that day. Okay, so if she's working tomorrow and you want to tell her to remember to do a stock take, you can do that. So I'm saying, Kate, please do a stock take today. Okay, so you can pop that on their column. Okay, the other thing is that if you wish, you can have your staff members clocking on and clocking off. So basically that is a way for you to keep record of what time they arrive and what time they leave. And we also recommend that if you are going to use this feature, that they clock on and clock off at lunchtime as well. So then you know exactly what time they left for lunch and what time they came back, and the hours that you have will be accurate. This will also be a great figure to use to work out an average dollars per hour as well. So if it is accurate and you get your staff members to do this and monitor it and make sure they're doing it properly, it will give you a very, very finite sort of average dollar per hour rate as well. Okay, so I'll show you how to do that one. If we go to Performance, which is under Main, you can select one of your staff members, or they would do it themselves normally. They would come in and select themselves. So I'll choose Kelly, and then I can hit Clock On, and it says Clock Kelly on at 12:57, and I say yes, and that's all you have to do. So Kelly can then go about her day. And then at the end of the day, and you'll see here that she's got a little clock on her head, which means she is clocked on. And a great way to check that all your staff members have clocked on is just to look at the appointment book. You don't have to go any further than that, because you'll be able to see if Pearl is working today and she hasn't clocked on yet. Then we know we have to go and tell her to come and do that. So when Kelly's ready to clock off, she just goes back to Performance, selects her head again, and then hits Clock Off. And yes. Okay, and then that will record exactly what she's worked, and that information will be available in Reports, but it'll also be available under Tools in Attendance. And if you click on the plus sign next to her, you'll see exactly what time she clocked on and clocked off. She worked for 2 minutes, and her status is now clocked off. So this will give you a summary if you want to come in here and check this. Your staff members cannot come in and change these unless you allow them to, but you can. So if someone's forgotten to clock off and you want to come and fix that up for them, you can go in and change that. Okay, so I can change that to 9 a.m. if that's the real time that they arrived, and now she's been working, or she has worked 3 hours and 97 minutes. Okay, so that'll keep track of that. Well, sorry, 3.97 hours, I should say. Sorry about that. All right, so if we hit Done, that is your attendance. So clocking on and clocking off is definitely something that we would recommend, because it's a great way to track the times that your staff members are working. However, if you aren't going to enforce it and monitor it and make sure that your staff get into the habit of doing it for the first month or so, then we have found that it doesn't really work. Staff members will do as least as they possibly can a lot of the time. So if it's an extra step for them, we found that, unless management really keeps on top of it and, enforces it as a new procedure, then it won't work. So just do this when you do have the time to monitor it a bit more, definitely. Okay, so that is clocking on and clocking off. And then the last thing I want to show you is checking out professional stock. So that is done in the point of sale. So what we mean by that is all the stock that you use within the business, we should record that it's been used and that it has now left the building. So just the same as when someone buys a product, we check that out at the point of sale, and that reduces the quantity that we have. It's very similar to that process, but what we just say that you need to do is keep a professional usage bin in the back area, in your back room somewhere, and everything that is finished, we've got to pop that into the professional use bin rather than the rubbish bin. And then once a day or even once a week, depending on how you would like your procedure to run. I found it really varies depending on the business. Some businesses only end up with, say, 3-4 products in the bin by the end of the week. Others, have a full bin at the end of the day. So you really have to, gauge that based on how much product you've got. So if you end up with, say, 4 or 5 products at the end of every day and you want to make it a daily procedure, you bring that bin over to the cash register or to your point of sale system, and what you do is you have your barcode scanner on hand. Now if you don't have a barcode scanner, you can manually select it, so I'll show you how to do that today. So to check professional stock out, you just need to go to Clients and make sure Business is selected and hit Done. Then you would scan your products if you had a barcode scanner, and they would just appear in this screen here. So that's the quickest and easiest and most accurate way to do it. If not, we can select a field there, select business, because we're not actually selling any products here, we're just saying the business is using them. And we can go through here and say we've used a vial of Botox, for example. Maybe we've used some testers, we've finished some testers, and then perhaps we've also used some professional stock here as well. And then we hit done. The reason that we say that scanning is more accurate is because sometimes if you're in a hurry, you could accidentally just click that when you mean to click that. And, you know, that in itself could really give you a really bad reading as to what is selling most or what you're using most. And then when you go to reorder, you may reorder the wrong things and miss out on getting something that you really need. So barcode scanner keeps it a lot more accurate. So if we hit done, all these products will appear in the point of sale, much like when you're popping a transaction through for a client. The only difference is they're all marked as $0 because we're not selling them, we're just using them, and it knows to do that because we have business selected. And then all you need to do is hit end sale, and that will record that we have used those products. The great thing is as well, if we go into tools and reports, under stock, we've got a professional stock usage report, and we recommend that you have a look at this once a month, or even, more frequently if you manage your stock on a more frequent basis. And we view that and we see exactly how much stock we're using. So I'm just going to leave today selected, but if you were doing it for a monthly period, you could select this range button and select some dates, or you could say for the current week, month or quarter or whatever it may be, and that'll auto-fill the dates for you. So I'll just say for the day and then hit view, and here it'll tell me that there are 9 products that we used in that day, or we finished in that day. This is the average product cost. This is the amount of the product total cost that we use, so $723.52, and then it breaks down per company and supplier, and per category as well. So we used a fair few eyeliners, etc. Okay, so this will break it down and show us exactly what we've used, and you can use this and monitor it and see, does that seem right? Well, why would we have used so many of those eyeliners? We haven't done any makeup demonstrations or, any makeup applications for the last week. That doesn't sound right. So you can go through here and check that sort of stuff and then hit done. Okay, so we definitely recommend you use this to manage your professional stock, because then you don't have to do a whole lot more manual stock take counts and all that sort of stuff. You're doing it all, on a daily or weekly basis and keeping it up to date without having to go then and do major, whole day stock takes as often. So this is your checking out of your professional stock, and that's what you would do right at the end of the day, just before you're going to do your end of day process. So your end of day process is done in the same area that you do your start of day. So it's up in the point of sale in this transactions button. When I click transactions, it'll give me a list of all the transactions I've had for the day. Now I've only had one, which is the one I showed you when we did our start of day. So we should have only have $270.05 in our till, because we started off with $200.05. So we've added $70 cash to that. So let's see if that works out. So if we do an end of day, it's telling me here, sorry, it was $205.05. So this is our float amount. So we hit next. And then what we do is we put the actual count in minus the float. So you can do it that way, or the way that I prefer to do it, I'll cancel this. We'll go into setup and go configuration. And what we're going to do is untick this. we're not going to enter the float at the start of end of day. We want to enter the float at the end, and I'll show you why this works out a little bit easier. So if you want to go and check your settings, I've gone into Setup and Configuration, and it's the first thing that comes up under Sales Setup. So just make sure Use End of Days ticked and Use Start of Days ticked, but the Enter Float at Start of End of Day is unticked. A bit of a tongue twister, that one. And the reason that I say untick it is I find the other way a lot easier as well to manage. Okay, so if we go into transactions again, we'll say end of day. Now, the first step is it says, please select the register to be balanced from the list. Now, if you only have one register, then you don't have to do anything. It's already selected. You hit next. If you've got more than one register and you're only balancing one, then that's where you select a particular register. Okay, so you'll notice that it doesn't actually tell you how much money we've made at this point. It just shows us the float amount. So the reason it does this is because you actually have to first tell the computer what you have in front of you, what you have in the till, and then it will tell you if you're right or wrong. And this helps stop, any dishonesty or anything like that happening with your register. It helps keep things a lot cleaner, and things are a lot more accurate this way. So so if we say please enter the contents of the register, this includes the float amount. We have to basically count every single thing that we have in the till. So I know that I had $200 notes in there, and I'm counting, I'm pretending to count, and I had a $5 note, and I had one $5 note, and I also had one 5-cent coin. Now, what else I have is whatever else I've actually made for that day, so any other money, any other receipts and stuff. So because we've only had one transaction, this client's given me a $50 note and a $20 note, and that's all I should have for that day. So it should be $275.05. Say, for example, I accidentally count wrong, and I put that in there too, and then I hit next. It says, please be certain that what you've done is basically correct. If you proceed beyond this point, you cannot cancel the procedure and return to the first screen. Do you want to continue? I'm going to say yes, because in my mind I feel like I've done it right. And here it tells you this is what you counted, this is what we expected, and we think you're $10 over. Okay, so it's saying Step 3, attempt to balance your register either by adjusting your count or reviewing your transactions and making adjustments. So at this point, it allows you to go back, and it allows you to check that everything is correct. And at this point, you'd probably do a recount and find that that was wrong. So you can change that to a 0 and then hit next. And then here we have our count and what we expected, and $0 difference. So this difference column should have all zeros, and that means that you've balanced perfectly. So we like to see that every night. A lot less work to have to go back and try and fix things. So if you do make a little mistake, it will ask that you leave a comment, and it says here, if you cannot balance the register, you must leave a comment. It won't let you leave this screen until you do. So if you don't balance, or even if you do, you may want to leave a comment. So I can say, I don't know why I am $10 over. That's if you were. There might just, be no reason sometimes, and it may be that the person the night before didn't count correctly, and you've just got that $10 extra, and you didn't do a start of day in the morning, so you didn't pick that up then. So that's why we recommend the start of day as well. Okay, so we won't bother leaving a comment because we balanced, and we can hit next. So at this point, step 4, it says, please enter new float values for the register being balanced. So if you do want to change your float for whatever reason, that's when you would do this. So we've got a float of $205.05. Generally, we like to keep it at 200, and there was a bit of a miscount maybe a night ago or something, and that's why it ended up being this. So I want to adjust it and make it right again. So I'll make it 200, and what it then does is says there's a float difference, We know that. We're changing the float. And now the cash to be banked is $75.05 rather than the $70 that it was a minute ago. Okay, so we've got to take that money out and bank it, and the 200 stays for the float. Then we can hit next. So step 5, it says choose the reports you wish to print and select print or select finish to exit. So we recommend that you print the session till balance and the trading summary. These both give you a good summary of what's happened in the day and what's happened with your balance of that particular till. The business log, depending on your business and on the busyness of your day, may be anywhere between 5 to 30 pages long. So we recommend that you don't really need to print that every day. If you want to ever see that, you can go into the system and view it on the screen, or you can print it at a later date. So all of these can be printed at a later date, but just to keep an eye on things, we always recommend that you tick these two and then hit print. And it'll print the first report, and then what will happen is we'll see another screen will pop up, and you'll just have to hit print on that one too. So you'll hit print twice, and then you hit finish. And that's your end of day. So we hit done to finish up. Now, the last thing we also do recommend that you do is do a backup. So once you've finished everything and you're about to walk out the door, make sure you pop your USB into your computer, and you can go to Tools and select Backup. Now, I am by default backing up to my C drive, which is this computer, which is kind of no point. So if something goes wrong with this computer, there's no point having a backup on it. We recommend that you back up onto your USB drive, take it out, leave it on your keyring or something like that, and take it off site. Because if something does go wrong with your computer, or someone comes through the night and steals it or something horrible like that, then you actually have an entire backup, and you can just install shortcuts on another computer, within 10 minutes, have your backup up and running, and your day can go as normal. So, we like to think of worst case scenarios and make sure that you have a plan for, the absolute worst that can happen. So having that backup off-site is really recommended. So the way to set that up is you have to make sure you go to Advanced and select a location. So a location would come up as a removable disk. So I don't have one plugged in at the moment, but that's what it would come up right under here, under Computer. You would select Removable Disk, and then you would hit Backup Now. Now, it will give you this warning if you don't have a removable disk. It'll say your location is set to C, which is your main hard drive. It is strongly recommended to back up on an external drive. Click Yes to continue on the hard drive, or No to browse to a different location. So even if you forget to back up to your USB stick, it will remind you, okay? So I'm going to hit Yes in this instance, just so I can show you what it looks like when it backs up. Normally takes anywhere between a minute and 2 minutes to do, depending on how big your database is. I've got a fairly medium type of database, and you'll see it's already backed up. Okay, so I hit done. So that didn't even take a minute. So, as you, I guess, get more clients in your database and more data, it will take a little bit longer, but it's still only a minute or so. So that is your backing up, and then from there you can just go to Main and Exit Shortcuts and close down for the day. So I'll flick back to my presentation. Okay, and here we can see basically a little summary of what we've gone through today. So we hope now that you'll be able to start and end your day, understand how to print your CPCs and your appointment book page, and of course know the importance of doing this, so I've tried to explain that a bit along the way. Understand how to leave messages for other staff members, understand clocking on and clocking off, and also checking out professional stock as well. So we've gone through all of these things today. So if you've got any other further questions, please don't hesitate to email us. You can email at info@shortcuts.com.au. You can go to our webpage or Facebook page and leave any comments, and our phone number is up there as well. So please feel free to contact us, and we'll be able to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much for taking the time to hear about all the great features in Shortcuts, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.